All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's Rick Thomas from Obsolete Video Services. Hey, guys. All right, we got this done. Okay, this is the Sony Av-5000A. I had to replace the capacitors or the motor run caps in this unit. This is a very old unit, and these capacitors always seem to have issues. I did check these can caps. They're two-section cans, two capacitors in one can. These two are leaky. This 2 microfarad and 5 for the slow motor seems to be fine, but these two to run the two general motors that runs the play and record and fast forward and all that, these are the two main motor caps for this motors on these. They're showing up leaky on my capacitor checker, so I was right. These are no good. So anyways, we did bridge the capacitors with some new ones, which you will see is I have a whole pack of these things. I bought a lot of these in advance because I get, working so many of these reel-to-reels, I always run into this problem. But as you can see, we got a lot of the values that are needed. So I bridged the capacitors to the strip that these particular cans connected to and eliminated the cans. So, did it work? Let's find out. All right, super fast on stop. Excellent. Now look at that. Full speed. Just a click. Now that's what it's supposed to do. All right, guys, as you can see, it's a lot quieter too. It's a lot quieter. It's running at full maximum speed. The scanner is moving at full maximum speed. It's very dire that these capacitors get changed out on these old units. It's a common flaw on these things. I mean, especially on video equipment, you'll notice if a scanner is starting to really get bad or slow down on the older stuff, your first rule of thumb is most likely you got bad motor run caps that run the gigantic motors in these things, which obviously is the case on this one. So we replaced them with brand new pigtail. These are called pigtail capacitors, which are the same thing as motor run caps. And bridged these to the proper numbers and eliminated the bad cans, which are those, and put the same values on, in this particular form to the strips and just protect. And all you have to do is get this stuff. When you're doing pigtail capacitors, you need this tubing. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. It's tubing that goes on the pigtails itself. So this clear tubing. You put that on the ends of the pigtails, depending how long you need them, and it protects these capacitor wires from touching anything on the inside. And then you could solder it to the clips where they belong, and voila, replace those capacitors without taking the entire damn thing apart, which is what I was trying to avoid. And so we put brand new capacitors in the unit with pigtails, and this thing fires up super nice now. Beautiful. So if we go in a stop position, all right, scanner stops. All right, will it start up immediately? Beautiful. That's what it's supposed to do. When you got motor run caps, they should initialize the motor, to start the motor immediately. There should be no sluggish. There should be no scan lines where it's slowing down, which is what was happening to these cans because these capacitors are leaky. These two cans are leaking. This one isn't. And these are leaking pretty bad from what my meter shows. So when in doubt, you swap them out. But I sure in the hell wasn't going to try to do like an original replacement. That just isn't worth all that trouble. This is going to be my workhorse machine anyways. And it's not going to be something that has to look perfect, original, or anything like that. It's going to be used a lot. So when in doubt, you swap it out. And you use really good capacitors like this that does the job. And these things are excellent. They're pigtail capacitors with those small values, and basically what they are is motor run capacitors because the capacitance are so small. If you look up motor run capacitors, you'll notice the capacitors are very small, 1.2 U volts or 2.5 U volts or 5 U volts, very small capacitance values. Well, that's what these are, but they're in pigtails instead of these giant cans. And that's why I always have a good stock of these when you're fixing these type of units, because you want to get the unit back up and running, and you want to save yourself work and time because these things are a real pain in the ass to fix. This particular machine, big time, because the power supply is heavy. You have to remove everything in this top panel and everything else to get to it, just to get to these cans, which is a real pain in the ass. So all I did was cut the wires on the cans that's inside. These are just examples. I cut the wires like this. These two cans inside are bad, but they're not being used. This one, cut the wires, that one's not being used. And all I did was replace it with pigtail bridging capacitors to the strip. Easy peasy. So you got perfect motor run capacitors, brand new capacitors to get these motors running like they're supposed to. I replaced it in relatively half hour, and now we got the machine back up to the speeds that it's supposed to be at. Hope you enjoyed this video.